So I've got a list of PlayStation 4 games here that I think are still worth buying today. Now, this is a very hard list to make because the PlayStation 4 was around for over a decade, one of the best consoles around ever, and it's so hard to make a list of just the best PlayStation 4 games that are still worth buying today because there's so many, and I've probably missed a couple here, but this is my list of what I think is definitely worth buying today. So the first game that's definitely worth buying for your PlayStation 4 is SpiderMan. Now, this game, you follow along with the Spider-Man story, defeat all the major bad guys in Spider-Man, like Dr. Octopus. There's a really cool open world factor to it where you get roaming around the streets of New York. It's definitely one of the most must-have PlayStation 4 games and definitely still worth buying. Even after Spider-Man 2 is released, I still think the original Spider-Man game is still worth a replay because you get to experience the first story and the first major story of the Spider-Man storyline. Yeah, it's really fun. That's the reason why I bought the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 5 in the first place, was to swing around New York with Spider-Man. I think it's such a great game and definitely a worthwhile must-have for your PlayStation 4. The next one is, of course, The Last of Us Remastered. Now, I prefer The Last of Us number 1 over number 2 because of the major storyline. This really engulfs you in the story, and the characters, the development of the story and everything, it's just incredible. I love the sneaking factors, just everything about it is just so incredible. Like the apocalyptic storyline, it reminds me of The Walking Dead in a sense, and it just captures your imagination and gets you engulfed in the story more than any other game ever. The Last of Us Remastered is just an incredible game and definitely something you need to treasure. This game is definitely up there with the games that you need for your PlayStation 4 and definitely still worth replaying today. It does have a remastered version for your PlayStation 5, so luckily you can replay it. The next game, Horizon Zero Dawn. Now, I actually preferred this one over Horizon Forbidden West. There was something about it that appealed to me a little bit more, which is strange, but I liked how simplistic it was and it just still looked amazing to this day. Really willing to delve back into Horizon a little bit more than Forbidden West for me. I feel like this game appealed a bit more to me. It was the core foundation of the Horizon series and one of the best games ever released because it has really good ratings. So I definitely feel like this game is worth a replay in 2023 and forward. The next game is an interesting take, but this is The Outer Worlds. I really like the idea of just being in space. You visit different planets, you've got multiple different colonies in all these planets. It has this really cool slow motion effect as well, where it changes color and it zooms in, and yeah, it's just so sick. And you talk to different characters, and the way you interact with the characters will really change the ending of the game, or it changes how you play in the game as well. You also have like the different abilities that you can level up as you go, and you got different characters, a lot of customization available, and it's a lot of fun. I actually really enjoyed this game when I started playing it. So The Outer Worlds, I definitely think is a worthwhile game to play still in 2023 and above. The next one is Ratchet Clank for the PlayStation 4. Now, you guys have heard over and over again that Rift Apart is one of my favorite PlayStation 5 games, and that's why I've got Ratchet Clank on this list, because I love the storylines, I love the comedy aspect, the serious nature, how it can really bring you into a mix of emotions, and the combat's really fun and really easy to play. It's definitely a worthwhile game to still play in 2023 and forward. Now, the next game is a bit controversial. Cyberpunk 2077. This game was originally why I sold my PlayStation 4 because I got so frustrated with this game. But over time, they've released update after update, re-evolved the community for Cyberpunk 2077. So it's important that we do recognize that they've put the effort in and it's a worthwhile game to still play. They've released Phantom Liberty as an extension pack, and it's a worthwhile play. I've heard really good things about it, and I'm excited to delve back into Cyberpunk 2077. Be in an open world in the future. and you fight crime, and you can do whatever you want in this city. And that's what was special about this game. So I'm willing to give it another go, and I think it's still a worthwhile game to play. The next game, of course, is Red Dead Redemption 2. Now this game, like Cyberpunk 2077, is a game where you can kind of do whatever you want. You could either follow the major storyline, or you could go out and just ride a horse into the wilderness, or just be a cowboy and do whatever you want. You can go fishing all day. It is so immersive, this game. It is unbelievable. Like, one of my favorite games of all time. Really brings you into an open world environment where it's so realistic. Like, the way they've made it is everything is interactive. Everything makes sense, and it's so realistic and humanistic in the sense of how everything interacts in the world. Definitely a worthwhile play. The world building in this game is insane, and it's a next level game, and I still think it's definitely worthwhile playing in 2023 and above. It is the must-have for your PlayStation 4. Probably more than any of these games on this list. I definitely think Red Dead Redemption 2 is like the number one right here. The next one is Jedi Fallen Order. Now this introduces a new Jedi into this world that we know as Star Wars. So we were so used to Star Wars Battlefront, and then we bring this brand new story with this brand new character. The combat really evolved in this game, analyzing creatures as you go. That was another really cool thing. We got really cool effects with the lightsaber. I still recommend playing Jedi Fallen Order. I think this is definitely a game where you'll have a lot of fun and a lot of hours put into it. The next one is Uncharted 4, A Thieves End. I picked up the Uncharted collection for the PlayStation 5, and this game was the one that really stood out to me. And I think it's a must-have for your PlayStation 4. It follows a really epic story of just a thief, but he has a treasure to find in somewhere else, and the world building is absolutely fantastic. The storyline is absolutely fantastic. You sneak around, you find treasures, and you complete this really awesome story, almost kind of like Indiana Jones. It's Uncharted, and they made a movie out of this game, so it just shows how incredible this game is. Such a great fun storyline to play, and I think you'll play a lot of hours in this game if you give it a good go. I think this game is such a hit, and definitely a worthwhile game to still play. The next one, of course, is the original God of War. It's famous for its bad guy lizard scene, how they've got this giant lizard that they have to beat. We introduced the son of Kratos in this game as well, and we introduced the latest generation of the combat mechanics, the latest generation of the graphic updates and everything. It's such a step up. This game of God of War is based in Norse mythology, which follows on with God of War Ragnarok. This one has such an epic storyline and such a great game to play. It is so worth picking up for your PlayStation 4. The God of War series is definitely some of the more must-have games for your PlayStations. The last one on today's list is Days Gone. Now, I haven't put enough effort into this game to get to where I want to be, but when you put in 20 or so hours into this game, you eventually get to like apocalyptic herds of just zombies that you have to just survive and beat. It was an underrated game, and over time, this game has been highly rated with the community. So highly recommend it, and it's kind of a must-have at this point now for your PlayStation 4. So we've got a great list of all these PlayStation 4 games. Some other games that I highly recommend would be like the Wipeout Omega Collection, Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, that would be really good. Even some Tony Hawk games like Pro Skater 1 and 2, that would be really good. Apart from that, like, I'm sure there's other games that I've missed out on, like The Witcher, there's LA Noire, there was Infamous Second Son that was recommended to me. So if there's any games that you guys recommend too, please let me know. But this is such a fantastic list of PlayStation 4 games that you should still pick up today and are definitely worth buying.